Hello and welcome to today's webinar, ADAA. So delighted to be partnering with the Menninger Clinic today for our Managing Election Stress webinar. Please know that you can find resources at adaa.org. You can learn more about finding help at the Menninger Clinic at menningerclinic.org. And if you are in crisis, please know that the 988 hotline is available 24/7 for call, text, or chat access. I would like to introduce our wonderful presenter today, Dr. Michelle Patrick Quinn, who is the Director of Research and Senior Psychologist at the Menninger Clinic, and also the Associate Professor of Baylor College of Medicine. Michelle, thank you so much for being here today to talk about election stress. I'm just going to hand it right over to you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Sasha. And thanks so much to ADAA for inviting us at the Menninger Clinic to share a bit with you about anxiety and stress and mental health and how important it is, particularly during the election or season. So really, we want to emphasize how important your mental health is during the election season. Mental health is always important, but it's particularly important when there's different stressful life events happening or things happening in our world. So what is mental health? Most of us now know the definition or have an idea of what mental health is, but really knowing how it's defined is really important. So the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or the CDC, defines mental health as our emotional, psychological, or social well-being. And it determines how we handle stress, relate to others in our friendships and our relationships, and how we make healthy choices. So our mental health is extremely important. It really affects almost everything that we do in our lives. And if we don't take care of our mental health, we can really see problems in a lot of different areas. So we can see issues in our job performance, in our friendships, or our marriage with our partners. It really is incredibly important. And so, especially in times where we might be a little bit stressed, to be aware of what's happening with us socially and emotionally and psychologically, and having insight, we say, into that. So really understanding what's happening. So what is anxiety or stress? So that is a piece of our mental health. And anxiety and stress is really common, and it happens to everyone occasionally. And most people worry about things like their health or others' health, their family members' health, money, family problems, and that's all normal. But we can also have significant worries or fears that impact our lives, and can really cause us sometimes to avoid things that cause us anxiety or fear, or can really affect our work performance, our schoolwork, our relationships. And it's really important to be aware of that. And so anxiety can include and symptoms of feeling restless, wound up, or on edge. It can cause us to feel really tired. So we can feel very exhausted if we constantly have different worries or fears going through our minds. It can also relate to us having difficulty concentrating or pay attention to things. So sometimes we can get distracted by our anxiety or our fears. And maybe we're really worried about something happening in current events. So, for example, the election coming up, where that's really just kind of churning through our mind. And because of that, we can't focus on the present and kind of calm down and stop that train of thought and focus on what's in front of us. And so that can impact all sorts of different areas of our life if we can't focus and be present on what's in front of us. So we can also get really irritable. When we have a lot of worries or fears, we can really be focused on, or kind of more agitated and more keyed up than normal. And so that allows us to maybe get triggered or get angry much faster than we normally would. It also is related to having different kind of unexplained pains, headaches, muscle aches, and having difficulty controlling these feelings of worry. Our thoughts can seem to race sometimes. So kind of going back to what we were saying with attention and concentration. So these worries or fears, maybe we're worried about an outcome of an election, or maybe what a certain political candidate believes. And we really think about that a lot. And it can be hard to stop sometimes. And so that can really affect our attention as well. And then having sleep problems. So sleep problems are really, really related to anxiety. And actually improving our sleep alone can improve symptoms of anxiety and make us have fewer fears and worries. But when our anxiety is high and these worries continue, it can really create problems with difficulties falling asleep or staying asleep. So oftentimes we'll wake up in the middle of the night. Maybe we have some unfinished business or something that we haven't been able to kind of solve in our daily lives, and we wake up in the middle of the night, or we have a hard time falling asleep when we get into bed. So maybe we lay in bed and we just all of a sudden there's a rush or flood of different things that we're worried about. So one of the greatest fears that we have and drivers of anxiety is of the unknown or uncertainty. And elections and politics really tap into this. And it's so important to be aware of that fear of the unknown or that uncertainty, right? It's pretty clear. Elections, it's uncertain what's going to happen with an election or what the outcome may be, or maybe what a political candidate might do once they are elected. And so that unknown or uncertainty can be increase our stress level or anxiety around election time. But we aren't alone in that. And that's important to remember, that actually, irrespective of where you fall on the political spectrum, that anxiety and stress around these times affects us all. And so we're all in this together. I know politics and can be very divided now. And we really think of, two sort of ends of the political spectrum. But honestly, there are so many different experiences that really cause us to be all in this together. And anxiety and stress is one of those, which is really interesting. It affects, and research has demonstrated that it affects everyone, no matter where and what political group you identify with. So that's super important to remember in order to keep your anxiety and stress level in check and have compassion for others who may be on a different side of the political spectrum. However, maybe going through the same thing you are, that fear of uncertainty, anxiety and fear around election outcomes and politics. So really having that in mind. So what do studies tell us about election stress? And there are a lot of studies that have demonstrated the link between elections and stress or anxiety. And so it demonstrates in particular that something that we all probably subjectively in our own experiences have felt, and that when we anticipate elections and the political process, they have greater negative affect. And this includes anxiety, but it can also include changes in mood. So things like depression or loneliness. And it's whether or not you've actually experienced election-related stressors. So just the anticipation, the thinking about it really can generate more anxiety as well as other negative emotions. And so it's really important to think about that, and sometimes not passively let those emotions go through you, but think about how some of the election related stress or things on the TV may be affecting, right, your mental health, how you think, how you feel, and how you act. How are those changes in your emotions changing maybe the way you feel and the way you act? So really being aware of that. And, media or the TV, the political ads, they are really trying to tap those negative emotions and get you a lot of times to elicit the negative emotions, including fear. So a lot of them can really try to generate those emotions, but also they do kind of share opinions or facts. So trying to really distinguish between in political content or advertising, okay, what is emotion based and what is fact or policy based, really separating the two and trying not to allow your mind your emotions to get too sucked into the emotion based content, and really process the information that is factual or is their political sort of stance. All of that information is really important. Don't try to internalize, we say, so bring that emotional message inside you. Try to keep that on the outside. Also, don't try to get sucked into hate watching certain political shows. I know some people have the habit of, if they believe one political kind of have a certain political stance or leaning, they'll actually watch the opposite in order to really learn what that platform may be, or almost just to generate that negative emotional feeling in themselves. And don't do that. Don't do that. Don't try to elicit negative emotions, whether in yourself or others. And along those same lines, also not trolling those on the internet. I know that is a big area. A lot of people do it, and the anonymity, or how you just stay anonymous on the internet, right? You can make up your own handle. No one knows who you are, and so you can really try to kind of manipulate others or get others to have a negative response, or really incite certain political views or emotions. And try not to do that. Try not to egg people on just because it's anonymous, it feels safe. You not only create negative emotions in others, it's also related to negative emotions in yourself and can have a negative impact on your own mood and anxiety and stress level. So really being caring and compassionate both on and off the internet. I know a lot of us off the internet would never ever do some of the things that happen on the internet with that anonymity or being anonymous. It's really important for others' mental health as well as your own. And then some just general tips to think about and see, okay, is that something that I could do in order to preserve my mental health, reduce my anxiety and stress? Would really be putting down the phone, the iPad, technology, if you feel like those negative emotions, that anxiety and stress is getting increased in you. We know that social media and news during a crisis or stressful situations is associated with worse mental health. So try to put down the technology and engage with others around you. And if someone's social media posts are affecting your mental health, try muting their posts. You don't have to look at everything they say, you can still get the kind of positive, fun parts of social media without it affecting your mental health. Anytime you feel like something is bringing up negative emotions in you when it comes to technology or TV ads, all of that, try to put that down and separate yourself from it, including TV ads, political ads. If there are certain ads that are very emotionally charged, right? Not providing much policy information or fact information, and are really trying to generate certain emotions, and just mute the TV and wait, walk away, and then come back after it's over. And then also try something new or something you haven't done before. Instead of getting so wrapped up into the politics and current events, really try to do something that maybe you haven't done in a while, learning a new sport, getting back to an old sport, seeing a friend you haven't seen in a while. Try doing new and different things that really bring you joy and happiness. And also keep in mind that uncertainty, we talked about at the beginning, fear of uncertainty can really generate a lot of anxiety and stress, but uncertainty does not equal catastrophe. It does not. Uncertainty can feel uncomfortable. The unknown can feel uncomfortable, but it doesn't ever mean that it is certain that something bad is going to happen. And trying to separate those two ideas. Don't avoid or withdraw. Getting involved in different things in your community or that give you a sense of accomplishment are really important. And offer compassion and understanding to others. We talked about a bit about this, about the trolling and internet, and really offering compassion and understanding to others on and off the internet. Whether you are anonymous or not, right? So we are kind of sort of anonymous on the internet. It doesn't matter. And offering compassion and understanding to others, irrespective of where their politics may be. And I know when it comes to family and friends, and your political opinions can differ, that can get kind of heated. So really focusing on what you have in common. If you are feeling a lot of anxiety and stress with what's happening in terms of the elections and politics, talking about that, and also talking a lot about other things you might have in common, like that you all vote regularly and are very engaged in the political process, and how that's really important. Can always consider a truce too, or agreement. So maybe we can't agree, and it's going to create a lot of tension. And so we consider a truce that we're not going to talk about these things. And they're not going to be part of the conversation leading up to or after an election, and maybe even ever. And that's okay. And then lastly, don't go through this time alone. It's really important when we feel lonely that we need others. Don't ignore how you may feel, and reach out to others. Reach out to friends, family, or even spending time with your pet. All of those supports are incredibly important when we feel anxious and stressed. So talking with others and getting support you need, or reaching out to a mental health professional if you feel that might be needed. So in general, take care of your mental health, be aware of the anxiety and stress, and it affects all of us, irrespective of our politics, and having compassion for all of those who may be feeling that way this election season. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Dr. Patrick Quinn. There were some really great takeaways there that I think will help us as we move into the season. I want to thank all of our attendees for being here today. And again, please feel free to visit ADAA.org to learn more, or visit the menningerclinic.org. Thanks. Have a great day.